Let's think about why we're here listening to the teachings. I think we obviously came because we want to learn something. So, what is it we want to learn, and why do we want to learn it? Well, there could be many reasons for why we want to learn something. It's fun, it's interesting. I get to meet other people when I do it. It'll bring me money later on. There could be dozens and dozens of reasons. But since this is a talk from a Buddhist perspective, then we should have a motivation that has something to do with the Buddha's motivation. And the Buddha, when he was alive and taught, his motivation was always to be a benefit to the hearers. In other words, whoever was there, may they benefit, and not just benefit in terms of having a good time and having wealth and good health and social status and such. But he was always thinking of ultimate benefit, of how to really get people to look deeply at what human life is about, what their potential is, what are the actual causes of suffering, and what are the causes of happiness. And to think seriously about this, and then to be able to integrate what they learn into their life so that they can bring more peace in their own minds and in the minds of the people around them, and also to make a positive contribution to society. And so with that kind of motivation of caring about others and seeing ourselves not as isolated individuals, but as members of sentient life, and that we're all dependent on each other. With that kind of background, that kind of perspective, then let's listen and share together today. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the 4 attitudes that change the mind. And this is a very common, very popular teaching in the Tibetan tradition. And all the different types of Tibetan Buddhism all have this in their teachings in one way or another. Yeah, because it really sets the stage for what we want to do in our lives and what this spiritual practice is about. So 4 thoughts to change the mind, or to direct the mind. What do we want to direct the mind to? How to be famous, how to cheat more people, how to promise one thing and renege on our promises. What is it that we're trying to direct the mind to? So, like I said, in the initial motivation, to really be able to think about what are the actual causes of happiness and causes of suffering, and what is our life and our potential. Because we usually just kind of, we're born in families, and our families teach us different things, and the society around us teaches us different things. And when we're little kids, we don't have the opportunity to really think about everything we are told. We just believe it in one way or another. And I think one of the nice things about being an adult is if we're smart, we can take out some of those things that we've been believing for 10, 20, 30, 40, 60, 80 years, and really ask ourselves, are these true? Are these accurate? How much do I want these different things that I've learned to influence my life and the way I live? Okay. So, for example, many of us may have learned through the example of our parents about how to handle conflict, that you handle conflict by yelling and screaming and throwing things. And others of us may have learned from our family that you handle conflict by everybody going to their own rooms and you don't talk about it. Yeah. And, so that's just an example. And, we just thought as kids, yes, that's what the adults are doing. That's how you do things. But if we really stop to look at our life, yelling, screaming, and throwing things actually doesn't solve the problem that we have with the other person. And going to our own rooms and slamming the door also doesn't solve the problem. Yeah. And yet we just get in habits of doing things like this. Okay. So this is a time to really start looking at some of those things and seeing, do we want to perpetuate them or not? Okay, so the four thoughts to change the mind, we only have an hour, so I'll only be able to go through them very briefly. But the first one is the preciousness of our present human life. The second one is death and impermanence. The third is karma, cause and effect on an ethical level. And the fourth is the disadvantages of cyclic existence, of samsara. Okay, so we start with, having a precious human life. Now, what's interesting in teaching this to people who are new to Buddhism is, if you were like me, I didn't believe in rebirth when I came. It wasn't that I didn't believe in it, it's just nobody around me believed in it. I mean, there was the idea of heaven and hell, but none of that made much sense to me. And yet all four of these thoughts that shift the mind are based on an understanding of rebirth, and an understanding of what our body and mind are, and how what we call I or self is something that's just designated in dependence on the temporary association of this body and this mental continuum. Yeah. But most of us don't come to Buddhism thinking like that. So I think the meditation on precious human life, we can get some feeling for it as a newcomer to Buddhism. But I think the feeling for it really comes after you have faith in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, and after you have some awareness of why or how rebirth works, and why it is, and some of the proofs that rebirth exists. Then you really begin to appreciate your present life. Yeah, because you have an idea of all the other things you could be born as, and you're kind of glad you aren't. Okay, so some of the things to look at is just to look at the good opportunity we have with this particular life. Yeah. Just starting out with, we have food and clothing, medicine and shelter. Yeah, that's a big thing. that we actually often don't even appreciate. We just assume it's going to be there. But if you've spent any time traveling anywhere, including our own country, we see that not everybody has those 4 requisites for life. Yeah, that many people are hungry. Yeah, many people, between poverty, earthquakes, floods, and so on, and wars, they don't have a stable place to live. Yeah. And, again, because of those things, they may not have clothing sufficient for the climate or medicine when they get sick. So just looking at the fact that in our lives we have those and appreciating that opportunity, not just because we don't have the pain of lacking those, but because they establish a basis upon which we can be curious about life. Yeah, they establish a basis in which we can learn new things and think about them, evaluate our mental state, look at our habits, decide what kind of person we want to be. Yeah, because without those things stable in your life, we're just too busy trying to stay alive to think about, other philosophical or spiritual matters. Yeah. Okay. So just having those, and then many people have those 4 requisites for life, but they don't have any interest in spiritual matters. Okay. They, they may say, pray to God when there's some problem in their lives, but they don't really think about, what is God, and what can God do, and does God exist, and what's my role in all of this? Because they're just not interested in it. Yeah. And it could be many of our families. I know my family in particular, both parents were children of immigrants. They had no interest in spiritual things. Yeah. Their goal in life was to get the American dream. That's what was meaningful for them, coming over here impoverished and, as refugees. So, well, okay, that's fine. You can't talk somebody into having interest in that if they don't. Yeah. But it's kind of curious. I think that they had a daughter like me who is, and then 2 other children. I have a brother and sister, and both of them are not interested in spiritual things. Yeah. What comes from your family? What comes from your previous life? Yeah. So, but that part of us that is interested in spiritual matters, I think is a very precious part of us, ourselves. And that mind, that's interested, it has to be a mind of curiosity. It can't be a mind of just tell me the truth, tell me what to do, tell me what to believe, tell me what not to believe, and I'll do it. And if that's the pathway to happiness, good enough. No, I think to really be a spiritual aspirant, you have to have curiosity. You have to question. You have to challenge things. You have to think deeply about them. And how in the world does this work? Yeah, is it true? Okay. So, we have that kind of curiosity. We should respect that trait in ourselves. Yeah. And not only being curious, but being eager to learn. And when we do learn, to be very open-minded and not biased. Yeah, because if you really want to investigate the nature of life, you got to be open to, to really think deeply about these things. And if you already have a bunch of fixed ideas about what the universe is and creation and heaven and hell and good and bad, and if your mind is really fixed, it becomes very difficult to learn. Yeah. So I think all of us here must have some kind of openness. Yeah. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here listening to this talk. Yeah. So open-mindedness, eagerness, curiosity, intelligence. Yeah. Once we learn and we're open-minded, yeah, we need to be intelligent and really investigate what we learn. Okay. Really, yeah, really go deeply and investigate in an intelligent way. Again, not just, oh, the Dalai Lama said this, so it must be true. Or my teacher said it, or it's written in some book, so it must be true. Okay. But to really learn, and the Buddha himself said this. He didn't say, oh, just go read what all the sutras that I spoke and believe everything because I'm enlightened. You know, he said, I'll teach you, and then you have to go think about it, you know, and see what makes sense to you. So those qualities in ourselves that we have now, yeah, to be eager, to be inquisitive, to be intelligent, to be open-minded, yeah, to have some commitment to this journey, not just, well, I'll do it, because my friends are doing it, and after I make $1 million, then I don't need it anymore, whatever our thing is. Okay. So we should really respect that part of us that has these qualities, and the part of us that's genuinely sincere in looking for the truth or the truths or the way things work. Yeah. Okay. So that's just a little bit about our precious human life. And I think it's important to really respect ourselves in that way. Also to add, it's not just sufficient to have the external circumstances good, where we have the necessities of life, and to have a mind that is curious and intelligent and so forth. Yeah, but we have to have access to the teachings. Okay. Many people do not have access to the teachings. Yeah. Or they lived in a country like Tibet, China, Vietnam, and so forth, where they used to have access to the teachings, plentiful access. And then the country became communist and religion was suppressed. And the clergy was prosecuted or made to disrobe or imprisoned. Books were burned. Even if you had that curiosity, there was no place you could go to learn. Yeah. One of my friends used to travel and teach in not the Soviet Union, but behind the Iron Wall in the communist countries before 1990, when everything fell apart. Okay. And he was telling me, and I also went to Prague later and taught at the same place that I'm going to tell you this story about. But he told me that when he was teaching in Prague, Czechoslovakia, when it was communist, that it was held at someone's home because you couldn't have a spiritual meeting. You couldn't advertise it and have it at a church or whatever. But everybody had to come separately. You couldn't have, 2 or 3 or 5 people come at the same time to the same person's home. So everybody had to come at different times. The home had 2 rooms. There was a living room in front, there was a bedroom in back. In the living room, they set up a round table with a card game. And they had dealt out cards, and then they had, soft drinks and everything you do when you get together with your friends to play cards. So that was all set up. Then they went in the bedroom and had the teaching. Why? In case the police came, they would hear the police at the door. They could run from the bedroom out to the living room, sit down, and pretend to be playing cards so that the police didn't know they were having a Buddhist talk. Now imagine for a minute, living under that kind of fear just for wanting to explore spirituality. Yeah. So, and this happens all over the world, and there is threat of it happening here in the US now with some people who are getting very strong about, this is a country of one religion and it's their religion that everybody should believe. Yeah, and that's quite dangerous because when you think about it now, every country on this planet has more than one population in it. There's no completely homogeneous country anymore. Everybody has populations of different cultures, different religions, and so on. So it's, but some countries try and make it all one, and it's my way. Okay, but we're very fortunate in, at least so far, we don't live in that kind of thing. We have to be very conscious, though, and protect our freedom. Okay, so that's precious human life. The second thought that turns the mind is death and impermanence. In other words, we have this precious opportunity. We have so many qualities, external and internal, going for us. But how long are we going to live? And how long, even in this life, if we live a long life, will we even have those qualities? Yeah, you can start out life with wealth and then you're impoverished. Yeah, things can change very, very quickly like that. You start out with good health, then, yeah, even as a young person, you can get very severely ill. Yeah. So the idea is that we have a good opportunity now, so let's make use of it. Yeah. And what is making use of it? Again, to really look what is valuable in our life. Okay, because most people and most societies, they function around what we call the 8 worldly concerns, which are 4 pairs. Yeah. So delight in having material wealth. Yeah, and despondency when you don't have it or lose it. Okay, delight in having people's praise and people's approval, and then so much internal conflict. Yeah, if people criticize us or don't approve of us, then we just go, oh, what am I worth? And nothing, something's wrong with me. And that's the second pair. Third pair, delight in having a good reputation. Okay, the one, and despondency when we have a bad reputation. This is different than the praise and approval one. Praise and approval is more on a personal level. People like you, they praise you, they approve of what you're doing. Okay, reputation is what a big group of people think about you. Okay, that group of people could be your whole family, extended family. It could be your workplace. It could be your religious place. It could be any, your bowling club, your golf club, your tennis club. It could be all your poker friends. It could be all the people that you meet to get together with to figure out where to invest your billions of dollars. It's a group of people, And I mean, talk about movie stars and athletes and politicians. This is, and business people. This is what their life revolves around. If I have a good reputation and many people know how wonderful I am, then I am successful. And if people find out all the corrupt things I'm doing and I get arrested and prosecuted and have a bad reputation, that I don't want. That's horrible. Yeah. As we all know, it's a witch hunt. Yeah. Not just one person has a witch hunt. Yeah. Whenever people criticize us or tear down our reputation, we say, no, I didn't do that. Yeah. How many people say, well, yeah, I got found out. I did that. No, it's always, oh, me. Oh, no. Yeah. Isn't it? Yeah. Even living here in a monastery. You didn't show up. You were on dishes today. Oh, no, I did show up, but they told me that I wasn't there. Or, no, actually, it wasn't my name on it. It was somebody else's name. Or, there's always some reason, isn't it? Always. Yeah. You always blame me for not showing up for dishes. Why don't you blame anybody else? This is a witch hunt. You just want all the witches to do the dishes. Yeah. Okay. And then the last pair is so much attachment to sense pleasure objects and distaste for unpleasant sense pleasure, sense objects, okay? So we want good food, we want to see beautiful things, we want to hear the kind of music we want to hear, we want to smell nice smells, sleep in a bed that is not too soft and not too hard, in a room that is just the right temperature, yeah, with our favorite blankie that is, very soft and very nice and keeps us exactly as warm as we want to be kept. Not too warm so that we sweat when we sleep, but not keep making us cold either. Everything, for my physical pleasure has got to be perfect. Perfect means it is what I want it to be. Yeah, that's definition perfect. Okay, and boy, when we don't get that, we let the world know. Yeah, this food stinks, take it back. Yeah, I'm meditating and it's too noisy. Yeah, I can't stand the smell in here. It's somebody burnt something. On and on and on, Okay. My shoes hurt. Everything hurt. Anyway, you know the story. Okay. But so our life gets very focused on these four pairs of delight and despondency. Okay. Yet, do any of those things that we delight over or get despondent over, do any of them come with us when we die? Yeah. You got your BMW. Yeah, somebody just wrote to me recently about they want to move to a place that they really like, but they can't take their BMW. So should they stay where they are and have the car longer, or sell the car and go to where they really want to live? Okay. This is big suffering, having to make this decision. So, but when you die, is your BMW going to come with you? Yeah. You're not even going to ride it to the funeral place. They put you in some black car, in some box. What are you going to do? Go knock, 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 take me out of this box. I want to ride in my BMW to the funeral, my own funeral. You know, if we look, we get so wigged out about things that are inconsequential, sometimes even the next day or the next week, the next month, let alone fussing about them so much. And we can't take any of them with us when we die. So you might say, oh, but I'll take my reputation with me. Well, that's great. Yeah, you're going to be born in another body, in another realm, in another world. And you're not even going to be around to read your own obituary and hear and see your own funeral with everybody crying at it. Finally, they realized how much they love me and they're sobbing at my funeral. Sorry, we aren't going to be around. Yeah. Even they drive you to your funeral in your old BMW. You're not going to be around to see it because the body has separated. The body and the mind have separated. Yeah, the mind's gone on to the next life. The body is vegetable material. That's it. Okay. So to really think about what matters in life, how important is my reputation? How important is it that everybody thinks I'm a wonderful person and approves of me and praises me? Yeah. Because that's often like our number one wish. I just want to be liked by everybody. Nobody has the permission to not like me. Yeah. Because I'm wonderful. Okay. So, is that really the purpose of our life? Especially when we look at things are changing all the time. Yeah. You fuss over your hair, think about it, how long you can spend fussing over your hair and and for the guys sometimes trying to get hair and fussing over your body shape. Oh, I don't look like the people in the magazines. Oh, how long we spend fussing and our whole self-esteem involved in trying to look like those people. Yeah. You want to look like, what is it, Rambo? I know he's old. Who's I don't know who's the new ones, Yeah. Arnold Schwarzenegger is still around, except he's old too. Yeah. So anyway, there's, maybe Ken, we all want to look like Barbie and Ken, or have everybody praise us. Yeah. I don't know who they are. But anyway, we're all getting older and uglier. I mean, look, all the people who everybody wanted to be like when I was young, none of them look like that anymore. And people just laugh when we say their names. Yeah. I mean, yeah, Marilyn Monroe. I think she still has some, something, but what?
She died young enough.
Yeah, she died young enough. Yeah, from overdose. Great way to die, huh? Yeah. I'm being facetious. But, everybody wants to look like, who was it, Beyonce? Yeah. Don't you want to just come out in the room with like hardly anything on, but whatever's on is glittering like mad? And the lights are flashing all over. And now you think, now I'm important. I look like Beyonce. Yeah. And you have a voice like hers. So, yeah, but this is what some people set for their goal in their life. Can you take any of that with? Yeah. Okay, so just to think about impermanence, and given that things are changing all the time, what's really important? These things that we fret about are not so important. Yeah. And even you have problems, they will get resolved. You don't even take your problems with you to your next life. Somebody's suing you, they don't come with, in your next life. Yeah. Somebody's writing bad, things in the newspaper about you. They don't come with. Yeah. So really think about given that everything ages and changes, and that what we have, we're going to separate from. There's no way around it. Yeah. What's important? Yeah. Well, from a Buddhist viewpoint, what's important is these 4 thoughts that change the mind, plus the rest of the path. Yeah. Because our virtue, our good karma, that comes with us in our previous life. That will influence where we're born, what we're reborn as. Okay, if we have the same conditions for practice that we have now, or if we don't. Yeah. And so, our actions now create karma, that will, karma are like the seeds or the potentials left by the actions that we do. And our actions have an ethical dimension to them. What we do matters. What we say matters. What we think matters, because it all leaves imprints on our own mind that will influence what we become in our future lives. And everything we think and say and do also influences the people around us and the world around us. Yeah. And so, what we want to take with us is our virtuous qualities and our ability to really give something positive to the world. We don't have to be famous to do that, but to have a kind heart, and be kind to the people we live with. I mean, imagine if everybody did that. It would be amazing. I mean, just imagine, for those of you who know what's going on in Congress these days, or I should say what's not going on in Congress. There's no Speaker to the House. Yeah. So Congress is like stuck. Yeah. But are those people thinking about, I want to create virtue to be of benefit to society, and to have a good rebirth where I can really continue along on the path to awakening? Are they thinking about that? No, they're all thinking about their parking space in the Capitol, and they want to be reelected so they can continue to have that parking space, and so that they can be on TV, or on the internet or wherever with a whole bunch of people around them holding out, tape recorders to capture every word about how awful the other side is. Is that how we want to spend our lives? Yeah. I mean, think about it. Yeah. And so, no, I think, put it this way. When I was quite young, I don't know who said this to me, but it was sometime teenage years. Somebody said, a friend said to me, in life, I want to solve more problems than I create. And at that time, I had no idea about the Dharma, the meaning of life, anything like that. But I thought, oh, that sounds good. That makes sense. Can I solve more problems than I create? So that all revolves around karma, the third of the four thoughts that change the mind. Thinking about what we do and why we do it. Okay. So the Buddha laid out a list of 10 things to try and avoid doing, because usually when we do these ones, we have a horrible motivation. We cause turbulence and chaos in the relationships, our relationships with other people. And we put imprints in our own mind for suffering in the future. In other words, when we harm others, we are also harming ourselves. We often think of, if they get harmed, then I win, I'm safe. Yeah, if I can harm my enemies, then that benefits me. When you have knowledge of karma, having animosity and wanting to kill our enemies, yeah, aside from not solving the problem, it puts the dispositions on our own mind stream to have suffering in the future. Yeah. So why do that? Yeah. Why do that? It's so ridiculous. Well, why do we do it? Because our mind is overwhelmed by afflictions very often. Yeah. We may even know, sometimes we go into situations, a strong determination. You know you're going to meet somebody that often triggers you. You go in, you have a strong determination. I am not going to bite the hook. Yeah, they may throw out the hook to try and trigger me. I'm not going to bite it. What they're saying doesn't really have anything to do with me. It has everything to do with their mental state, their suffering. There's no reason for me to be angry and upset with them. So we have that determination, even before we go in the situation. We go in, that person says, because that person may know our buttons, they say exactly what pushes our buttons, and boom, why are you saying that to me? Why are you doing this? And what happened? We came in with this wonderful motivation. What happened is our afflictions are strong, our mental afflictions, predominantly ignorance, anger, and clinging attachment, with a little bit of jealousy and some arrogance thrown in, and, some laziness and some deceit and pretense. And there's lots of afflictions, okay? Yeah, those just get the best of us. Yeah. And so learning to really stop and think about our actions, refrain from things that are detrimental to others and ourselves, then that's the start of creating the cause for happiness, not only for ourselves, but for others. Yeah. I mean, I look at what's going on, and just even thinking about the war in Ukraine, with Russia and Ukraine, it's so painful for me to just even consider that war is happening, and that so many people are getting killed, yeah, by strangers they don't know. And they're also killing strangers they don't know. And for what purpose? What purpose? I don't see any purpose. Yeah. So it's easy to look and see what others are doing as troublesome, but to look at what we do as troublesome, you know. So we may not fight a war, and kill people, but we'll certainly talk about them behind their back and ruin their reputation. Won't we? Yeah. I don't like somebody. I'll just tell the whole world about how mean they are and what they did to me. And I'll just embellish the story a little bit to really bring the point home about how evil they are and how they're the cause of all my suffering, So we have to really begin to do something with these afflictive mental states, that are not part of who we are. They are not permanent, inherently existing parts of our mind that always are there. Anger isn't the only way we can possibly respond to harm. There's many ways to respond. But to think about these, and think about the karma, and be able to identify what our triggers are, where we really go bananas, and then learn the antidotes to those triggers, how to direct the mind, what to think about to calm our anger, to calm our greed and our attachment, to get rid of the ignorance that obscures us, to throw some water on our arrogance. Okay. So precious human life, death and impermanence, karma. Okay. And really thinking about how what we think, what we say, what we do matters. We are one person. In terms of being one person, we cannot change the whole world, either one way or the other. But we can do a lot, one way or the other. So how do we want to direct our lives? And then the fourth of the four thoughts that change the mind is the defects of cyclic existence. So those first three, precious human life, death and impermanence, karma, we can think about a lot in terms of this life. When we come to thinking about the defects in cyclic existence, we're thinking not only about this life, but just about the fact that we are reborn again and again and again, and we are not choosing our rebirths. We don't have control over our rebirths, but we are born by the force of our karma. So it's not this thing that, we sit up on some cloud there and look down and say, well, who is going to be privileged enough to be my parents in this life? Put your applications here and I'll go through them and pick my parents. No, it doesn't work like that. Okay. The force of, the ethical or unethical actions we've done makes us attracted towards one rebirth or another. Okay. And it doesn't just happen once, it happens again and again and again and again, you know. And we're not always born humans in each rebirth. Yeah, we can be born as other life forms. So for those of you who haven't been to the Abbey, we have 4 cats. Yeah, their names are love, compassion, joy, and equanimity. Boy, that's a good way to start your life off, with names like that. Yeah, but they're cats. And we, you know, they're missing this element of human intelligence. So we try and tell them, don't chase the gophers. Yeah, don't kill the mice, not even the stink bugs. Yeah, don't kill any other being. And our cats just look at us like, feed me. You know, what are you talking about? Yeah. But on the other hand, our cats are born in a Buddhist or live in a Buddhist monastery. Yeah, that's pretty difficult. Yeah, to live in a Buddhist monastery. There's not so many people who live like that in this planet. Okay, and yesterday, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, you know, gave some important teachings and empowerments and so on. Okay, Venerable Damcha wrote me that our cat Mudita, yeah, Miss Joy, slept on her lap the whole time. Yeah, Maitri, Miss Love, slept on the cushion, on the recliner next to my computer the whole time. Yeah, they had a lot of good imprints put in their mind. Did they appreciate it? Well, you know, a good lap is you know, comfortable enough, and you know, a nice recliner, good cushions. That's her recliner, by the way. I seldom sit in it. So, yeah, and then, you know, how much chance do they have to create virtue? It's pretty difficult. Yeah. Now you might say, because we also have this thing in English, ignorance is bliss. That one is not true. Okay, ignorance is bliss. Because the kind of ignorance that we talk about in Buddhism is the ignorance of the nature of reality. And if you don't know the nature of reality, and if you don't understand cause and effect very well, and your mind is overwhelmed by ignorance, anger, and attachment, then, you know, it's pretty difficult. And so it's like being on a merry-go-round. Yeah. You're on your little horsey, and your horsey goes up and it goes down and up and down. And you keep going round and around on the merry-go-round. Yeah, remember that? Yeah. And after a while, you know, if mom and dad put you on that merry-go-round and then purchased unlimited tickets so that you were on that merry-go-round for the next 24 hours, is it still going to be fun? Get me off this thing. Yeah, I'm going up and down. My tummy hurts. I got to go pee. I'm sick of looking at the same horsey all day long. I want someone else's horse. Yeah. I want to go on the other. Yeah. I want something else, something new, something exciting. Okay. But then you're just on the same merry-go-round, and you can't get off, because first of all, you don't really want, well, until you're on too long, you don't really want to. And second of all, you're attached to different things on the merry-go-round. And, you know, one part of your mind says, my horsey's the best horsey. I don't want to separate from it. My horsey's better than yours. Okay. But when you really think about it, is it worth it just to keep going round and around like that? Okay. And so here's where we start to think about liberation. Yeah. Because there exists a state of liberation. Yeah. It's called nirvana, where you have realized the nature of reality and where you're no longer reborn under the force of the mental afflictions and, you know, the karma that is supported by ignorance. Yeah. And not only seeking nirvana, liberation, but seeking a state of awakening, full awakening or full enlightenment that is beyond that. Yeah. Where every single defilement in the mind has been banished, every single good quality has been developed, and where we really, really, really can have a lot of compassion and wisdom and power to be able to benefit other living beings. Yeah. And so to develop that aspiration to become a fully awakened Buddha. Yeah. And then with that aspiration, or even you're striving for nirvana, liberation, then you're going to really be quite mindful of how you live your life, because you're aware that whatever you're doing now is creating the cause for what you're going to be. And you also care about other living beings, and you want to bring more happiness than solve it, than problems to them. So with that, talking about the four things that turn the mind is, in brief, is completed, and we're also out of time. So we have a chant that we usually do to dedicate the merit. So, you know, we created a lot of good karma just by the fact of thinking about these worthwhile things and generating compassion, thinking about what's important in our life. So we want to dedicate all that good energy that we created for the awakening of each and every living being, for the long-term existence of the Buddha's teachings, and for the long lives of His Holiness Dalai Lama and all our other teachers. Due to this merit, may we soon attain the awakened state of Guru Buddha, that we may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious Bodhi mind, not yet born, arise and grow. May that mind have no decline, but increase forevermore. Okay. See you all later. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to share the Dharma with all of you.